In TurboViews Extra number 1, we talked about the TurboGrafx-16. In number 2, we talked about the CD-ROM attachment. And in number 3, we talked about an upgrade to that, which was the Super System card. Well, all of those would be condensed together and turned into one awesome machine called the TurboDuo.
Two words describe a phenomenon that has arrived upon the scene like a force of nature. TurboDuo power. With 4 times the memory of 1 megabit CDs, the TurboDuo takes gaming power to the next level of excitement.
And that, of course, was the wonderfully cheesy TurboDuo promotional video. I remember watching this video at Toys R Us when the whole TurboDuo thing was coming out. Turbo Technologies and those guys were trying to restructure the image of the console a little bit. The Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, they were sort of battling it out, and the TurboGrafx was kind of like, you know, watching from the horizon. Hey, what's going on over there? When the TurboDuo came out, it was $299.99. Now at first you're like, oh my god, that's so much money, and it was at the time. But they gave you a ton of stuff inside. In fact, if you look on the box over here is a strip. And on this strip, it told you all the stuff that came inside this box. I actually did not get my TurboDuo on launch day or anything like that. You know, for me, I had the original system, I had the CD-ROM, and so I opted to get the Super System card via mail, which is what you needed in order to play the Super CD games. What happened was a couple of years later, my CD-ROM original system was starting to act up, and the TurboGrafx was kind of disappearing, and I was worried that, well, what if something happens to my system? You know, this was before eBay, and this was before I knew I could just buy one anywhere. I found a TurboDuo at a sort of ma-and-pa little video game store. They had it brand new, it was on sale, I can't remember how much I paid, but I went ahead and I sprung for it, and I'm glad that I did. Unfortunately, it got damaged in a flood that we had at the old house. So I went on eBay. They weren't going for as much as they go now, thank God. But I was able to pick up a second TurboDuo, and that's this here. It was pretty much complete. It worked perfectly, and I was very happy with it. But this is my second one. So here we go. This is the original TurboDuo box. And of course, this is the strip I was talking about that told you everything that was included with this system. Alright, now if we open the top here, the first thing you'll notice is some styrofoam and a whole bunch of hookups and goodies. This is a little bit different than the way it actually came, but that's because I have a different controller in here. In this hole here was the original TurboDuo paddle. I actually have the Avenue 3 pad. It comes with composite cables. And then, of course, we have the plug right here that plugs into the wall. The angry video game nerd would not like this one very much. But anyway, this was originally in a baggie, but we have the TurboDuo manual, and it's in 2 different languages. It still says TurboGrafx-16 under the TurboDuo, which is kind of interesting. How to set up a multiplayer system. It talked about how to hook up multiple players using DuoTap and stuff like that. And the usual business reply mail card. Now for the good stuff. Let's pull her out of here. This is the TurboDuo, baby. You can see it's much smaller, it's much thinner, and it condenses everything into one beautiful unit. And I absolutely love the design. Right here, if you flip up this flap and you grab a turbo chip, that is where your turbo chip games went, and it had a little dust cover that flipped down. Okay? And if you had a PC Engine converter and wanted to play Japanese only games, you could pull this off. And that way, if you had one of the larger converters like I have, it easily will fit in the front. And if you've watched TurboViews, you've seen that many times. The CD part is right here. There's a little button, boom, and the CD flips up. okay? And when you close it, you can flick the lock button over, and that'll keep you from accidentally bumping open the CD tray. Kind of a neat little feature. I don't know if I even used it half the time, but there you have it. And there's a little window right here where you can see the disc spinning, so you can prove that it spins, I guess. There you go. There's sort of the top portion. Of course, it says TurboDuo with Super CD-ROM. The Super CD system card was not necessary because it was already included in here. Alright, so let's look at the front. Here's your power button, on and off. And then, of course, your port for the controller. Once again, they included only one controller port. It was something I did not like about the TurboGrafx, and it was something I don't like about the TurboDuo. It's not a big deal with 5 players or 4 players, because you'd have to buy a multi-tap anyway. But for just 2 players, I mean, come on, give us 2 controller ports. That's the only thing I really complain about when it comes to these systems. I think the one controller port is a bad decision. The controller port looks the same here, but it's actually smaller than the TurboGrafx-16 port. Now, you could buy a TurboGrafx-16 adapter, which connected the two together. I did have that because I used the Turbo stick all the time, and in America there wasn't a Duo stick. But this was disappointing. On this side, nothing. And on this side, we have a headphone jack and a volume control for the headphone jack. I don't think I've ever used the headphones. And then the audio video out, where the composite cable goes right into it. And on the back, of course, your AC adapter plugs into the little hole. And if we take a look on the bottom, my model here says manufactured September 1992. So that's basically the TurboDuo. For the most part, aside from the controller port, I love this system. And if you can track one down and you want to get the Super System card, the TurboGrafx, and the CD-ROM all in one box and package, I'd say this is the way to go. The stuff they packaged in with this system was crazy, not including the manual and other stuff we went into. First of all, there was a coupon book inside for 50 bucks. It was $5 off anytime you purchased any kind of game or anything like that. You also got the Gate of Thunder Super CD. This was the Super CD pack-in with the system. It came with Gate of Thunder, which is a phenomenal shooter, and it's a great Super CD game to introduce you to the Super System. And also on this disc was Bonk's Adventure, Bonk's Revenge, and there was also a hidden Bomberman. Shh. So right here, you have 3 games, or 4, packaged just right here. They also threw in Ys, Book 1 and 2. Probably the coolest CD that came out for the original system. And not only that, it's a heck of a role-playing game. And to top it off, they threw in another game, which was a turbo chip. A lot of people, like myself, got Ninja Spirit. And it basically came like this. It came with the Ninja Spirit game in its original pouch, and it came with the Ninja Spirit manual. Some people have said they got Dungeon Explorer. I've heard of a couple of other games packed in, but this is the one that I got, Ninja Spirit, with both TurboDuos that I picked up. Oh, by the way, we also got Bonk's Adventure and Bonk's Revenge manuals to go with the Gate of Thunder disc. So this was all the games you got. And it was a perfect representation of pretty much the entire TurboGrafx-16 life. Now it also had one more thing. You got a free issue of Turbo Force in every TurboDuo box. Unfortunately, my first issue of Turbo Force, along with my second issue, which I kept in the TurboDuo box, were damaged in the flood along with the system. So I unfortunately don't have those first 2 issues anymore. I have the last 2 issues. But you also got an issue of Turbo Force as well. So the TurboDuo is crazy. I mean, they threw in as much as they possibly could, and I really think they gave you a lot of value for the money. I just think by this point, it was a little too late. So that's my look at the TurboDuo, and now we've pretty much come full circle as far as the home consoles of the TurboGrafx-16, the base unit, the CD-ROM upgrade, and the TurboDuo. So join me next time for another edition of TurboViews Extra, and I'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.
When it comes to intense gaming excitement, there are only 2 words you need to know. TurboDuo Power.